I remember, I mean, one of the things that I find most, not just most, the thing I find singly the most impressive thing that you've done is iHeartRadio. Because at the launch of iHeartRadio, a lot of people kind of snickered and said, this is a little bit, this is also ran. You know, Pandora is walking away with this. I'm not sure Spotify was around in the UK, but people were saying, hey, this is a radio company, it's a radio station company. They're not going to be able to turn themselves into a digital company. iHeartRadio has now become an extraordinarily well-known brand and powerful. Tell us about the evolution of iHeartRadio and why you came up with it, how you came up with it, and how you progressed it.
Well, it's interesting. We looked at it. We really didn't do a digital strategy. We did a product strategy. And we said, look, what is it? What's the compact we have with our users? And the compact is, we'll be where our listeners are and with the products and services they expect. Where are they? They're on a phone. They're on a computer. Now they're on an iPad. They're on tablets. Therefore, we need to be there. Otherwise, people may forget about us or we'll have a diminished brand. So that was really the thinking that put us there. And then the question is, how do you do it? You know, this was not in the DNA of the company, so we brought in some people who it was in their DNA. And then you begin to think about the assets a different way. I mean, why did we start the iHeartRadio Music Festival? Is because we said, wait a minute, we're coming out of the block. We have the biggest reach of any media company in the United States, reach 243 million people a month, more than Google or Facebook in the US. We can't just sort of do it like a startup. We need something that just gets people's attention, makes the statement. And so we decided, you know, last concert I'd done was Live Aid. So I grabbed John Sykes, who'd been there, and we grabbed Tom Pullman, our head of programming, and we said, let's redo Live Aid. With all these artists collaborating together on some big festival. And of course what it did is it got everyone's attention. It put us on the map immediately. And by the way, it has turned out to be an anchor event for the company now, for Clear Channel. But that was really what led us to it. And I think then in terms of the digital product, it is how do we position this? We've got this incredible promotional value. We've taken the brand awareness. First year we got it over 50%, which one of the people from one of the great consumer marketers said, how the hell do you get over 50%? Yeah. And I go, we ate our own cooking. We probably put $1 billion of advertising behind it. And it's now up to about 70%. And really in brand awareness, it's really iTunes, Pandora, us, and then there's Spotify behind, and then everybody way, way back. And so it's all about connecting with the consumer, talking in their language, and actually giving a product that matches what they expect.
I want to bore in on a couple things here because the idea, from the very beginning of the digital industry, I remember one of the mantras that I heard from people, well, the great thing here is that it could scale effortlessly. We don't need a lot of human intervention at all. In fact, that was the goal, to remove as much human intervention and as much physical messiness as possible. Now here you're saying you created a digital product, but its foundation was something incredibly physical and messy, a music festival. So what is it? What would you say, if you were kind of take 10 steps back, what's the relationship between physical messy things like music festivals and stores and digital scale? Is the one the necessary precursor to the other?
I'm not even sure it's the way to think about it. I think in companies I've been in, people are always doing stuff like, I want to get humans out of it, I want to get rid of chaos. I go, who cares about any of that stuff? What you care about is serving the consumer. What does the consumer want? And if the consumer is really excited by a music festival, we should do one. Now we happen to have the assets to be able to do it. I'm not sure, that's available to most companies. But I think you look around and say, what can we do for that consumer? And I think we always get off track when we start thinking about process and operational stuff and forget about the consumer. I ran Six Flags theme parks years ago, and we couldn't get the quality of the service of the people in the park where we wanted it to be. So finally, I put on a janitor's outfit to sweep, and I went out and spent a day cleaning the park with everybody. They didn't know who I was. And I just wanted to find out what was happening. And I had my epiphany there. And the epiphany was that these people who cleaned the park, who we thought were surly and nasty, were actually loved Six Flags. And they loved our parks. But we had told them their job was to keep the park clean. Who makes the park dirty? The guest. So who they hate? The guest. So we go, wait a minute. And now I look at the rides and go, wait a minute. The reason those ride operators aren't paying any attention is we told them their job is to keep everything safe. And we forgot to tell people that the real goal is to make sure everybody who comes in the park has the greatest day of their life. And what could ruin it is a safety issue, or what could ruin it is a dirty park. And we turned our training upside down and said, no, our most important thing is our customer. And I think in all these businesses, if you turn your back for 1 second, everybody starts talking about process and operational detail. And they miss the point, which is the whole reason we're in existence is to serve consumers. And if we lose track of that, that's when we get in trouble.